Just realize you can't see me.
Your screen is visible, yeah,
Okay,
and we
perfect.
can see you as well. So you're good to go. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll put this on presentation mode. Let me see how this works. Perfect. Okay, a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening from whatever time zone that you're joining in. And thank you so much for joining, loads of great speakers today, including me. And please make sure you stick around towards the end of this whole event. We have really great prizes to win after this, and you'll have a quiz. So make sure you keep your listening ears on because the questions are going to be somewhere from the sessions itself. Okay, so whatever you're learning is not going to be in waste. So here, today's session from my side is going to be adopting cloud with confidence and how you can do that with Defender for Cloud. My name is Tushar Kumar. I am cloud security lead at Codic Ireland, and I'm a Microsoft MVP as well around networking and security. So basically, this is my day-to-day job, giving advices around how people can secure their environment, how organizations can make sure they are compliant, and as well as they're following the best practices around security as well. Okay, one thing that I ask everyone, right? So first question is always when you're getting into designing an environment or adopting cloud, or you're looking at deploying your first application to cloud or even on premises, it doesn't matter, okay? But the first question, the first big question is, what are you going to build? Is it going to be a car? Is it going to be a bike? Is it going to be a jet? So you need to understand first what is your requirement. Okay, based on your requirement, the security changes. Like, take an example of being at a US military environment that will have like a loads of security functionalities, wherein when you're looking at a local stores environment that will have a whole together a different security requirements. Although the principles doesn't change in every scenario. Like looking at the car, you need airbags to safeguard your for the person who is driving or the person who is on board with on the car. Same in motorbikes, you need to make sure all the wheels and everything. Just the end goal is to make sure the person who is sitting inside, they don't get impacted, they don't get injuries and anything. The same scenario happens here. The principle remains the same. You get one tooling, you get other tooling, or in some scenarios you might not need. So let's say if it's the same scenario, you're building a car, that car is for a race car driver, you'll need only one airbag. You don't need a six airbag system because that guy is not going to carry six passengers on a racetrack. Okay, so for today's session, right, and to understand Defender for Cloud better, we have a quick use case, and I'll say it's basically a quick scenario. And in our scenario, we have our guy, Tom, who is a digital transformation manager. Just look at this guy, and this guy is going to follow us throughout our presentation today. So, Tom works for a company called Company Y, which is for obvious reason because we cannot take the first one because it's now a traded company. Okay, so Tom works for Company Y. He starts his digital transformation journey. He is looking at how he can adopt cloud, how we can look at possibilities within cloud. But when he goes for that, first thing that he sees is Microsoft's cloud adoption framework. Okay, we are talking about Microsoft's, we are talking about all Defender and Purview. So that's why the first thing is Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework. When he goes into the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework, he finds there is a whole series of events that is happening, which is defining the strategy, planning for your environment, getting ready with all the operational models and all those other stuff, and then finally the adoption stage. But in the bottom of that, as you can see, the red box there, right? We have a secure pillar, and that basically worries Tom. The reason being, he needs to make sure that when he is doing this move, he is actually looking at everything. He's actually looking at all the components are being secured and properly managed. The similar scenario, so basically, when we look at companies wise landscape, so they have storage resources, the databases, the code repository, they're planning to go for infrastructure as a code. They are planning to go for PaaS services like going for Azure SQL databases or storage accounts or those kind of stuff. They are also looking for going for containerized applications. They're looking to deploy some virtual machines, some infrastructure components. And they don't want to rely on one cloud, so they're going multi-cloud as well for some sort of reason. And all of that is backed with the compliance obligations as well. So being compliant is also important with them. The last one is more around look from modernization mindset. The company-wise landscape is all together. We are looking at how we can go into more modern way and as well as adopt new modern technologies as well. So that basically makes our guy really, really worried. So he checks the other cloud provider. Okay, Microsoft is saying that, oh, you should be including security. What does the other guys say? So AWS, GCP, everyone has their well architected framework. And if you look at the security is one common pillar all across, and you have to make sure that security is in there. So when he looks at this and when he does a little bit of analysis and when we say more of a looking at the curve of adoption, the more you go into the adoption, the value realization will happen quite quickly. So you start adopting, let's say, PaaS services, you start moving your services to cloud. Take an example of Azure here, and we are moving our virtual machines to cloud. Okay, we are putting a let's say update manager that is doing all the updates on time automatically that we used to do manually earlier on, or maybe we are placing our virtual machines, we are shutting them down, we are closing the ports at specific areas and running whatnot. So basically your value realization is going to be quite quick. So you'll start seeing new values coming in as soon as you move things to cloud or as soon as you start getting into your transformation journey. But that value realization basically gets beaten down with the risk of new threats that gets imposed. So now earlier on it was your data center, you used to have that virtual machine sitting somewhere back of your office. That machine has moved now to cloud. Now you have to manage the cloud security as well in terms of RBACs, just so no one can log into the Azure portal and deletes that machine or destroys that machine or those kind of stuff. So unless or until you don't put in the new controls, which is the new approaches, you won't be able to make sure that the realization value from the move or from the transformation actually remains the same. So with the help of new controls, what we'll be doing is we'll be pushing it towards more higher side. We'll be making sure the realization of the value from the new technology doesn't get beaten down with the risk of new threats. Okay, so in that case, what we are looking at is our guy gets really, really happy. So he looks at Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Okay, and Defender for Cloud, if you search for it, the first image that you're going to get, this is not me creating something. This is Microsoft giving you a quick view of Defender for Cloud. So if you look at the bottom of this, that says we cover the other clouds as well as your on-premises data center. The first block into it, you'll see different, basically, we do DevOps management as well. You can see all the things around here, which is basically your all DevOps security management. Second piece is we make sure from Defender for Cloud perspective that everything is strengthened from your security perspective. And the last one is all your workloads is being protected by certain level of I'll say so with level of protection from Defender for Cloud. So that actually confuses our person, okay? Because this is too much to handle at one time. So let's have a look and quick deep dive into it. Probably I'll not go through each and every services in there. There are few of them which is my favorites that I will go through. If there is any of them that interests you, and we'll have 5 minutes at the end of the session and we will talk about that. Probably we might go directly into the portal and see those. Okay. The first one is our security posture monitoring. So making sure your security posture is totally intact. You don't have any loose ends, or you're not doing any misconfiguration in terms of security. That's the first security posture. Second is making sure that you identify what is the threat to your resources. So if there is any like deviation from the best practices that you have in your environment, that gets flagged out. Okay, like let's say the storage account should be having a private endpoint, or it should be locked down to specific networks. And I will not say it always gives you like 100%, and it whoever works in security knows it very well, right? There is always a little bit of tuning required. And you might see something like, okay, you have on function apps, you have some sort of different mechanism of authentication, but the recommendation for coming from Defender for Cloud is your function app should be using a certificate-based authentication, right? So those kind of things will come definitely. If that applies to you, you can basically look at that. If that doesn't apply to you, you can just discard those, say that is remediated some different way. But at least you will have that in your mind while doing the hardening of your session overall environment. Okay. So if we look at this from the third perspective, which is the regulatory compliance, and which is one of the most worrying thing to people, that okay, if when I'm moving this, I follow HIPAA in my environment, is the environment which is going to be deployed in cloud, is it going to be compliant with HIPAA or not? And if there is any deviation, who is going to tell me? Do I need to bring in external consultants to review the whole thing and say, okay, there is some deviation, there is configuration changes, or etc., etc. And what happens if that if down the line you deploy, or you migrate a couple of more areas, then it will still stay compliant. So those kind of stuff will be coming in. So you manage your regulatory compliance within the Defender for Cloud. The workload protection we have talked about, like your likes of your virtual machine, likes of your storage accounts, likes of your logic apps, those kind of or web apps, those kind of stuff. You basically protect that from any anomalies that is happening. Okay. You have vulnerability scanning as well. Earlier on, it used to be with Qualys. Now it is on by itself. So you have vulnerability scanning functionalities as well with Defender for Cloud, and as well as your DevOps security posture. So I'm not going much into the DevOps one because I have that in the coming slides. And the last one is more of like code security when you say, right? So the whole idea is it is code to deployment security. So basically when you design your infrastructure within IAC, and that goes to the production environment and gets deployed to your environment, right? And before going to like make any changes, or before going to deploy anything, if there is any anomalies, it gets caught and it basically gives you an warning and seeing that, okay, this thing is not right, this should not be like this. Okay. The key things to understand is it gives you multi-cloud and hybrid support, which is basically your on-premises environment. You can extend that and you can use that. Contextual code to cloud security, the thing that I just talked about, is basically looking at your whole posture from code to deployment. Okay. You get the end-to-end life cycles protection within the Defender for Cloud and the advanced threat protection. Okay. Let's quickly look at the security posture management. And when I said I'll be showing my favorite features of Defender for Cloud, which I certainly enjoy interacting with, is one of this is one of those. Uh, Quite recently, Microsoft has done a little bit of segregation between the foundational and the Defender CSPM, and that was just from the costing perspective and the features perspective as well, because earlier on the CSPM was inbuilt thing. So when it was inbuilt thing, you had a limited feature, so that is basically still there. The foundational is free, and you have to pay for the Defender CSPM. And similarly, if you look at this, right, so this is a short list. Just search for Defender Foundational and Defender Defender CSPM, you'll see the difference. There is loads of them getting added. I believe this was a little bit older, but this covers the key and key areas that we are going to cover today. So you have all the continuous assessment giving your security configuration and CSPM to function. Basically, the foundational CSPM functionality is giving you any sort of posture changes and as well as your secure score. Second thing is if you go for the more higher tier, you get additional functionalities around getting the governance recommendation, you get the regulatory compliance functionalities, you get Cloud Security Explorer. That's never not mentioned anywhere in the doc in this presentation, but that's a really good feature. So a very recent use case of that was we had one customer which was looking at this regression SSH vulnerability, right? And they had loads and loads of Linux virtual machines working, and they wanted to know how many of them are impacted or where exactly is in my state I need to fix that. And basically, you can just run the Cloud Security Explorer. You can run that query, and Microsoft has just built that query for you. You can run your custom queries as well and find those. And you can also get attack path analysis and agentless scanning of your virtual machines, which those kind of stuff. Okay, so if you look at this from the portal perspective, right, and how it looks in real world, how the features look like. So if you look at this, the way it works is you will see all the controls when you go for the regulatory compliance, when you go for secure score, you will see specifics of those, and we'll see even further of this in the coming slide. So basically, it will let you know if there is any sort of whatever the benchmarks that you have applied. You can see on the top, like PCI DSS, it is SOC, HIPAA, HIPTRUST, or NIST, whatever it is. It will give you what all the compliance results are. It may be like 90% or 95% covers the overall estate, and 5% you still have to work on that and tune it based on your environment. Okay, you get a really good dashboards. So the thing is, you get everything, and you if you have to present it to your C level, you get what is my secure score, where exactly you can see what exactly is the state of your overall uh, technical state on cloud. You will see that, okay, this is what we have. You can see every subscription voice, your secure scores and everything. Okay, now also for all the recommendation that is it gives you remediations as well. So basically you can go in, you can see what exactly is the remediation, you can click on any of those, you can see what exactly is the problem with those, why they are unhealthy, and then you can fix that. Okay, this is the remediation logic, let's get the remediation logic. And what you'll do is you'll get an ARM template or just a quick fix button which will basically fix that for you. So this way, the good thing is you don't have to run around and find five different places. Okay, now Defender had said log analytics agent should be installed, or Defender had said there is a vulnerability in my system. What should I need? What should I do? In that case, it will give you a quick remediation steps as well. In in the normal scenarios where you have like a quick fix available, and it's more of a what is technically feasible or what Microsoft wants to do, it's basically you get a quick fix button, or you get a recommendation for the logic, or you get you can put in a logic app for that. So whenever it comes in, you can make that changes. Another functionality within the same lines is basically your attack path analysis. So this basically, if there is any open attack paths within your environment and the Defender for Cloud is active on your subscriptions, right? What it will do is it will give you all the two attack paths, and basically the attack paths is defined based on how the services are communicating to each other. So there is one example of this, like there is one internet exposed VM that has severe vulnerabilities because Defender is enabled on the both sides, and it can see the vulnerabilities within the virtual machines as well. And we can see here your this public IP address is connected to this particular network interface, which is connected to this particular virtual machine. And this virtual machine has reported at some point of time to Defender, Defender for Cloud. and it still has open vulnerabilities. So in that case, what will happen is it will flag it as an attack path. So you can basically fix that. And also it can give you, or it gives you a basic it's more or less correct routing, but if you're using loads of NVAs and all, and you don't have route servers kind of scenarios, in that case you'll not get the proper routing. But this will give you a quick picture how the lateral movement can also happen in this case. So that's basically gets covered. The next piece is, and I believe this is also fairly, I'll not say a new, it's been almost a year. This feature has been there. So basically, your overall DevOps security is also covered within Defender for Cloud. And when I say it is covered, it's not one service that you buy, and I will talk about that in coming slides as well around the costings. So you can see all your code scannings, if there is any open secrets, if there is any, like, let's say, loose protocols kind of things, it will basically highlight those. And what you can do is you can make sure that, okay, any because we don't want to be scanning all the branches that people are creating or the developers are creating around yeah, their features, and they're copy pasting from ChatGPT or somewhere else, right? And which is not secure code or something, or it has a password or something embedded into it. So you can do it on a specific branch. So that is basically more towards Git, that if you are creating a pull request to a specific branch, the moment that pull requests get created, it gets into your at the Defender for Cloud. It scans that code through, and once that scan is complete, you will get what all vulnerabilities it has, if there is any OSS vulnerabilities, if there is any secrets, if there is any recommendations to improve your code, and all that. Okay, so this is just to give you a quick view on services that can get covered, and don't quote me on this list because this list is increasing every day. Okay, and one is we are going to talk in this session only. So Defender for Cloud basically covers most of the services. I'll say that, and if you start asking me, okay, is there a Defender for what NIC, your network interface card, or NSGs or something like that? It's not there, but yeah. From the workload standpoint, the major resources that we are looking at is from servers perspective, your scale sets, your K8s, your app services, your storage accounts, your databases, and as well as other cloud services likes of Amazon EC2, EKS kind of services as well. So that basically gives you the whole protection and the single pane of glass to look at multi-cloud with, and as well as your workloads as well. So it basically, the interface looks something like this, where you will be looking at where all the services and what all services that you have covered in terms of this. One service that I will talk about specifically, and this has also came in quite a while ago, but there was a specific feature that was GA'd, I believe, a couple of months back, which was around the malicious content scanning. So basically, this used to be a most in demand feature from our customers as well, in terms of, okay, when we are uploading things to our storage account, there is no mechanism unless we go for a third party to scan what exactly is going in there, if it is suspicious, if it is malicious or anything. So Defender for Storage basically gives you a full flexibility around that you get any sort of suspicious activity on your storage accounts, and as well as if there is any uploads, you can actually do a full like step around that. Okay, what do you want to do with that malicious upload? So you can basically put a logic around that as well, based on the file created. Okay, anything that comes in, let's say if it is a potential malware, you'll see, okay, there is a high severity alert. You'll see a potential malware uploaded, and based on that, you can take an action on that. Or we are going to talk about that. You can put in a like action. You can put in an automated action there as well. Okay. The next one is that I wanted to talk about is just-in-time VM access, and this is a most, I'll say, overlooked functionality around this. And there are loads of clever users of this. Like one of the so I'll first give what exactly is just-in-time VM access. So just-in-time VM access is like if you have used PIM in Azure, it's something like that. So you are giving a time-bound access to a specific IP, to a specific virtual machine on a specific port. So let's say a virtual machine will be able to, you will be able to RDP for next 15 minutes, and we'll see that. So the most clever implementation I have seen, like a quite recently, that person, and he didn't wanted to invest loads in different stuff, so he wanted to expose his SFTP, and he wanted to make sure that okay, that SFTP gets exposed on port 22 for just 15 minutes of time every day at 12 o'clock, and whoever is pushing the data, they push the data, and then after 15 minutes it gets disabled, just so the attack surface is reduced. So they went ahead with this. They created a PowerShell script that enables the just-in-time VM access, and same thing running on a Azure uh, running on an Azure automation account, and that did the magic. So you can basically look at this from the perspective, all of these machines are enabled with just-in-time VM access, and all you need to do, like these 4 ports are uh, enabled for these. You can ask for any of this. You can ask for my IP range or IP ranges, and basically you can ask for what time period that you want to enable it for. So basically, you can get access to a machine. And this basically really fascinates me in terms of the network security. And when we are looking at sensitive exports like 3389 and 22, which is for some reason you need to expose, that makes it quite easier for you. Okay, the last bit here is our operationalization of this Defender for Cloud, right? So once we have, so all the workloads that we talked about, we have talked about all those specifics of virtual machine and everything. And I believe just before this, we learned the same thing around data security and how you can enable it for SQL vulnerability assessments as well. That's again a one workload we are talking about. So when you go into this and when you're looking at operationalizing this, mostly the resources which is sitting on premises with the resources which is sitting third party cloud, it will be the Arc enabled resources. It will basically be get onboarded through Azure Arc. And what we'll be doing is we'll be able to see those machines into the Azure ARM plane. And once you are able to see those in Azure ARM plane, you can actually use them. You can actually onboard them with Azure monitoring, and you can also onboard them into Defender for Cloud, manage all the compliances as well as manage all the tagging and everything. If you know Azure Arc, you know it very well. It's a great tool. If you don't know about Azure Arc, take a look at Azure Arc. Azure Arc is really great if you're running multi-cloud or a hybrid setup on premises and Azure, right? It will help you consolidate your overall monitoring posture and as well as management plane. Okay, so what happens when we are looking at in terms of automation, right? So if you need to create any sort of, let's say you're getting maybe, let's take a simple example of a storage account should not have there's a remedy recommendation coming in, or there is an alert coming in which says storage account is changed to public access, right? So this is something that we know, and we don't want to make this happen. We don't want this to be happening in our environment, so we can do it multiple ways. That's just I'll say silly example, but still, uh, either you put in a policy that doesn't allow. If that policy is not there for some reason, you want to do it through workflow automation, you can do it through that. You can set up a workflow automation which will automatically trigger. Basically, the way it works is you need to create a workflow automation that will be linked to a logic app, and that logic app will have the decision functionalities to take. Okay, either you want to close those ports, or you want to block that user's access, or whatever it is. Okay, so Basically, in our case, the guy Tom will be quite happy with that because he needs multi-cloud and he wants to enforce certain functionalities. So you can basically create those, and you can create a specific of the, I'll say, workflow rules, making sure that you have based on your suitable needs. There's loads of workflow rules you'll find in different GitHub repos that is posted by community. So it's not like you need to create those logic apps for your common tasks as well. You can certainly find that online, although do a due diligence before you apply that. From the response perspective, and there are a few here that requires you to have a Defender CSPM, like likes of ServiceNow connector is basically available for the not for the foundational CSPM. You need to have the the next level for that for the Defender CSPM to connect to ServiceNow. But you can connect it to all the basically industry leading tools, but with some sort of connectivity, or you can go with the email option just so you get all the functionalities and you get all the alerts that is coming in straight into it. Okay, so our guy is back. He's not looking happy. And why is that? Basically. So hold on a second. Is Defender for Cloud smart? First question. And the second question is Defender going to support our AI projects? Thinking of these questions is already giving him nightmares of his boss shouting on him and kicking him out because this is not smart enough. Okay. But we are covered in that. So we cannot go now these days like any Microsoft conference or any Microsoft presentation without talking about Copilot, right? So the Copilot is everywhere. And now even I have written it as a Copilot in Defender for Cloud, but I believe it is Copilot for Defender for Cloud as well. It's getting called, but the naming conventions is changing every day. Okay, so now what you get is uh, for each and every scenario, you get analyze with Cloud Copilot or summarize with Copilot button within your Defender for Cloud. But this is subject to you having security copilot enabled within your organization because it uses the same SCUs that you have deployed for security copilot. So if you have, sorry, copilot for security deployed within your environment, and you have, and then for this one you have another prerequisite, which is the copilot for Azure. So if you have those two components, which is Copilot for Azure. I believe it is available for everyone at the moment, but you can go for the Copilot for security, and you will start seeing this button, which will basically help you out in terms of making sure that you have analyze with Copilot option. Okay, this will basically make sure that you get smart remediations, you get a more of a background and as well as guided steps to do a remediation as well. So when you're looking at this, the same way you have, if you have used Security Copilot or if you have seen Security Copilot demos, right? So this will give you any incidents or any alerts summary. It will give you a full view of what exactly is in there and everything. So that's the first question solved. We can say more or less this is intelligent and definitely it is intelligent from the product perspective in terms of understanding your patterns, understanding your risks, and then basically showing those. But it is also intelligently now helping because of the LLM is getting involved into this, and you will have a full view of the alerts, the recommendations, and you can basically see that within portal. So this basically gets on the both experience. You will get it on the security copilot experience as well as you will get into the embedded experience here as well. Now, this is a new thing, and trust me, I haven't also applied it yet. Okay, this is one of the preview features, okay, which has came in around the AI threat protection as well. So if your company is working with LLM, or if you're creating your own Gen AI apps, right, then you can put a defender for those, it currently supports the OpenAI implementations and the Azure AI services implementations, right? So what basically gives you is if there is any prompt injections or if there is any unauthorized access or someone trying to do DDoS kind of attacks, what you it will do is it will give you a security alert that can go into SecOps, and then we can take certain actions around that. But for any sort of LL for any sort of GenAI apps at the moment, there are certain list of supported services. Have a look. It's the pre-feature is still in preview, but you can have a look at that and you'll be able to see that. Now, how all of these we have talked about our guy. We have not forgotten him. How all of these is going to help our Tom's cloud adoption journey, right? So, guy is still pretty much, I'll say, sad or confused in terms of this. So let's start mapping out his requirements, right? So first thing is for any cloud adoption journey, you need to make sure during the migration or during the adoption or the adoption post adoption, right, your security posture stays maintained. So your cloud security posture management gives you that. Your regulatory compliance is also important once you have moved to cloud. And then when I say also, don't quote me on that. It's like most important thing, because when if you get audited, you'll have all sort of issues if you're not maintained your compliance. Same thing is you need to understand what all open ends are and what all attack surfaces that you have exposed. You need reports to share with your C level. I know I have seen loads of companies not sharing those reports, or even the C level not being aware of the Defender for Cloud reports, just because the admins are not able to do that, or the admins are too much scared to share that. But there is no harm in sharing those if you're maintaining the default Defender for Cloud. You're making sure if there is any false positives or need something needs to be suppressed, you're doing that. In that case, that is getting covered. And the same case, if there is anything which needs to be highlighted, that gets highlighted. Next one is mostly for the scenario. It covers the multi-cloud scenario. So you have GCP, you have AWS covered here. It covers all the workloads, not only the virtual machines or SQL servers where you can put agents. It basically covers the cloud native components as well. You're getting all the intelligent ops functionality with the Copilot availability. So you deploy the security Copilot, you have this, and then you'll have the intelligent operational functionalities as well. So if there is any L1 level person is also accessing the Defender for Cloud, and if he wants to see, okay, what happened and why this alert is generated and what is exactly the background around that and what we want to do for this, you will be able to see that as well. For operational automations as well, you have the functionality that you go in, you put in the workflow rules, and basically any sort of operational automations that you want to put is totally deployed. So you can see the look of this guy's face, so you can totally assume this, that okay, he's happy with that. Now all of the things that we have is all well and good. Now the next one is, you'll see again the face goes down, because we have talked about loads of things. Every workload getting protected, the whole cloud getting protected, and also we are talking about loads of other stuff as well. So in that case, I'll just quickly click on this link. I have the link here. Microsoft pricing changes every other day. So I'll just skip the verification, go in here and see. This is me downloading all the cat pictures. Ah, okay. So the foundational CSPM, as I mentioned, and I'll just quickly zoom in a little bit, is free of charge, and all of the Defender CSPM is basically all the billable resources. You will see this. Okay. Same for every services that we are talking about, right? So every services is pretty much broken down into the specifics. So if you're looking at containers, it will be a core level pricing, vCore level pricing. If you are looking at servers, it will be server level pricing. If you're looking at the SQL, it will be
SQL instance level pricing, and basically that is different for every like the places the service resides as well. Same, it goes for all the services. It is basically pretty much granular pricing. So that's the reason the initial slide when we talked about that, okay, what exactly that you want to build. So you need to first decide on that, that okay, my services is going to be so and so. And out of that, if there is any, let's say, a storage account which is not at all interacting with anything, okay, it is just some custom storage account that you want to just lock it down, and you can just simply lock it down, leave it for that, which is just going to have some sort of a small logging file or something like that. Okay, I don't want to think of a scenario, but more or less, if that storage account is just being for some stale purpose, it is being used, you can just lock it down. You can make it private. You can have your RBACs in control. You're good. You don't need to have a proper Defender and start paying for Defender for storage in there, or keep your malware scanning where you know the things that are going to go in the storage account is just going to be like application generated or something like that. Okay. So this is basically this will give you a quick idea of how the services are tiered in terms of the pricing as well, and basically that gives us a little bit flexibility in terms of designing our own solution in proper way. A few people have asked me, like wherever I have presented the same thing previously, like when you go on the portal itself, it basically it is a little bit deceptive. So on the portal itself, you will see a switch on option within the overall within the Defender for Cloud, and you can, if you switch it on, it says it switches it on to all the storage accounts, but you do have an option to pick and choose between, okay, I want to enable it for five, not for four. So that's there. Okay, I'll just I think I'm doing good on time, just another 2 minutes. Okay, so happy days now. So we have made the decision. We're going ahead with Defender for Cloud. So Defender for Cloud, basically your CISO is happy because he is getting a quick view of overall security state. For your multi-cloud, you are getting all the visualized dashboards, and you can also create your custom dashboards. You are getting those, whatever the CISO is asking. Your admins are happy that okay, anything that they are getting, basically they know if they have missed something, or if they want to harden anything within the cloud environment, they can just go in and apply all the Defender for Cloud recommendations. Your security operations is happy because they are getting everything. They are getting all the investigation cases. They are getting all the attacks and attack surfaces as well, in terms of finding any sort of issues, or if there is any incident that basically gets caught. Okay, that was my cue. I believe. Thank you so much for joining in. If you have any questions, feel free to. I think, Firoz, I have another minute, is it?
Yes, Tushar, you have 1 more minute.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, I can quickly take those. Otherwise, what we can do is you can drop your questions in the chat, and I'll be staying in the chat for a while, and I'll be answering the questions. If you want to connect with me, like you can find me all the social platforms with Follow Tushar, and the AZ Way is my blog, and you'll find my profile in there as well, so you can see my previous talks as well as you can connect with me. Okay.
All right, Tushar, thank you so much for your time. I'm here stopping the recording with this.
Thank you so much, Firoz, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining in.
Well, all right.